Okay, number 11, simplify x plus 6 quantity squared. So it's a binomial and we're squaring it. So the first thing I want to do is make sure I expand it. And again, squared means times it by itself. So this means x plus 6 times x plus 6. So now this turns into a problem like we just got done doing, so I'm going to use the Punnett square. I'm going to have x and 6 and x and 6. So x times x is x squared. X times 6 is 6x. 6 times x is 6x. And 6 times 6 is 36. Again, you got like terms on the diagonal that you need to add together. So it would be x squared. 6x plus 6x is positive 12x. And the 36 is positive, so plus 36. Okay, 12 says factor completely 10x to the third y to the 6 minus 5xy. So first we need to find the greatest common factor. So if I look at 10x to the third y to the 6th, numbers that go into 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. X to the third is x times x times x. And y to the 6th is y times y 6 times. On the bottom, 5xy, the only thing that goes into 5 is 1 and 5. I have 1x and 1y. So again, I want to look at what's the greatest thing they have in common. Well, the greatest number they have in common is 5. The greatest amount of x's they both have is 1. And the greatest amount of y's they both have is 1. So that means my greatest common factor is 5xy. So again, I look back, well, if I picked 5 times what gives me 10? That's 2. I have x times x, or 2x's left uncircled, so that's x squared. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 y's left uncircled, so that's y to the 5th. Since there's a minus sign up here, we put a minus sign in our parentheses. So now look here, I picked 5. 5 times what gives me 5? Well, that's 1. And I have no x's or no y's left uncircled, so 1's the only thing I need there. Okay, 13. Factor x squared minus 3x minus 10. So again, we're going to make and solve our diamond and then write it in factored form. So again, we need to know what a is, which is the number in front of x squared, so that's 1 in this case. Need to know what b is, that's the number in front of x, so b would be a negative 3. And c is the number without a variable, and it'd be a negative 10 because it's a minus 10. So if I make my diamond, again, I got a times c on top. So 1 times negative 10 is negative 10. And I got b on bottom, which is negative 3. Now, since I'm multiplying to get a negative, that tells me the signs have to be different. So 1 positive, 1 negative. And if I'm adding to get a negative, the bigger number has to be negative. So if I look at the factors of 10, which are 1 and 10, 2 and 5, if I'm going to add to get a negative number, I know the bigger numbers have to be negative. And the one that adds up to negative 3 out of those is 2 and negative 5. Again, once you have your side numbers, since it's x squared, you're going to have x and x. Since it's a positive 2, you put plus 2, negative 5, you put minus 5. Okay, 14, solve by factoring. So we're going to do this similar to what we did in the other one. We're going to factor with the diamond, but then we're going to set each factor equal to 0. So again, a would be 1, b 2, c negative 8. So if I take a times c, so 1 times negative 8 is negative 8. b is 2. So again, I got a negative on top, so that tells me a positive and a negative is needed and then a positive on bottom, so the bigger number has to be positive. Well, what goes into 8? 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. So again, I know the bigger number has to be positive. So which one of those adds up to give me positive 2, and that's negative 2 and 4. So that means I can write this as x minus 2 times x plus 4 equals 0. And if you remember from last time, what basically happens here is now x is going to equal the opposite of this number. So x would equal positive 2, x would equal the opposite of this number, which is going to be negative 4. So these are my two answers.